Okay, let's begin. Well, first of all, thank you for joining Anne and Paolo and our amazing Associate Division Head team, Hanata, Danny, Angie, Daniela, and Julie. They'll all introduce themselves as the evening goes on, as they speak to different slides that we've got available for you, the information. And we'd, of course, got a warm welcome to all our new families. We have over 110 new students joining us this year from around 85 new families. So we're glad to have you joined our caring and supportive community, and we'll look forward to getting to know you over the coming months, which I'm sure you're all looking forward to, as are we. At first, I want to start by saying that we're all relieved and looking forward to returning to campus next week. Certainly a cause for celebration and undoubted relief for all of our students. And I'm sure, just like you, I have two daughters, Abby and Charlotte, who are both going to be returning to college in the United States face to face. So I'm as pleased as you are to know that there is light at the end of the tunnel for our sons and daughters. And it would be remiss of me to also offer a tremendous feeling of gratitude and thanks to those who offered critical feedback, partnership, and concern for all of those in our community who are less fortunate and disproportionately affected by this global phenomena. We also thank you so much for sharing with us your trust and confidence in our team. It really is a pleasure to work with Avenue's families, and is exactly why our school distinguishes itself as a special community. And personally, I would like to thank the hundreds, and it literally was hundreds of well wishes and words of unity and friendship that were sent to me and our campus leadership team over the last year. They were certainly appreciated and always welcome. As always, our goal continues as it has been since last October, which was and remains to maximize the amount of in-person learning for our students, of course, within the health, safety, and regulatory constraints that are apparent to us as a school. So continuing with that theme this evening, I'll provide more detail on the model we have in place for next week or the coming weeks in August. Just another housekeeping point for this session. As we speak, feel free to post your questions in the chat. When posting your questions, it would be helpful if you make clear the grade you are directing the question towards. We may not answer every single question tonight, but may cover them in future parent bulletins or even in future chats. But our aim is to get to as many of the questions this evening. Okay, we're going to move on now. So I think you'll all agree that we've adopted from the beginning of the pandemic and the approaches that we have taken a stance of real humility, understanding that what we know today may look very different tomorrow. Our thoughtful and consistent strategy has always allowed us to bring our students to campus every day since probably around last April. And I think we've done it also in a way that expanded time on campus while also making sure everybody's health and safety was of paramount importance. That said, as we know, things may change over a week or a weekend, and I'm sure we will be asking for your patience during the semester that is coming up towards us now, but we'll draw on our ability to be adaptable. Let's hope that that's not the case. And when it comes to the countries and the cities and our community's health, that will all be a factor in determining each scenario we've either experienced or each scenario which we have well planned for. As always, we remain committed to a healthy and resilient return to campus. And we're all aware that the classroom will continue to look very different than a typical school year. We'll continue to follow the science as a commitment to being students of every member of our community's health. It is something that you can really rely upon from us. So let's take a moment and look at the scenarios we've either experienced together already and the one we will use this semester, beginning next week when students arrive. We know that the education authorities and Health Council will allow 100% student capacity as per the announcement that was shared with us in June. That decree offered schools the choice to increase the allowable enrolment capacity on campus, which we had been appealing for since the prior November. The subtle difference between enrolment capacity and space capacity makes a huge difference for us as a school. As you may know, or you may be interested to know, our building capacity, the space is actually built to host very comfortably around 2,100 students. And we will welcome in August around 1,300 students. Thus, our space capacity will be closer to around 60%, which is well below what is allowable, and again, affords us the opportunity to not only meet expected safety standards, but exceed them. With that in mind, let's focus our attention simply on scenario 2. That's the one there that you can see. It's the second column from the left, if you're looking at the screen tonight, and it says the 100% schedule. I'm just going to pause there and allow you a little time to digest that. Again, it's the one that is the 100% schedule. Okay, so what that means, the good news is that we'll see all students on campus every day while no mixing. There may be some online learning when a teacher has to move from group to group, such as with our student success teams, or even with some special areas, and even our after-school extensions activities, because if you take extensions, as you know, that means that students are coming from different groups and different grades and different classes. So anything which includes mixing of groups will happen online. And that will be the case until the foreseeable future when things improve and we have vaccines even for younger students. However, thus, as you can see, we're preparing to have all students on campus every day, but let me reiterate that this is predicated by public health decree. We are, as was the case last year, and maybe we're going to be required to operate with reduced student capacity at any given time in the semester. Again, let's hope that's not the case, but it may be. If we have to close by public health decree, we will adapt to full-time on learning, and thus learning will always continue uninterrupted, thanks to us having a range of thorough and effective scenarios that provide what I would suggest is extraordinary high value and a world-class education. As it relates to the scheduling scenarios, we know that things are not going to be 100% predictable and fall into a nice picture that we would all prefer. But please know that depending on the anticipated future waves or spikes of the virus, we have established a very nimble design which utilizes a strategic framework to deploy the right model at the right moment. Designing these specific models, and you can see them all here, and defining the proportions of students on campus at one time helps us to build a deeper multi-purpose toolkit to respond to uncertain health situations later. Again, let's hope that's not the case. But an example, even if things did change and greater limits were imposed upon us due to the health situation, even if you know we'd have to go to 70% capacity, even in that model, we'd still welcome all students in grades small world, through 5 to come to campus for learning all day, every day. So we're back on campus 100% for 100% of the students every day. That's the good news. And we are certainly looking forward to seeing everybody's in the next week or so. With that in mind, I'm going to turn things over to Paulo Peter, who will reiterate our health and safety protocols. Paulo.
Thank you, Andy. Could we move to the next slide, please? Thank you. So welcome. Thank you for joining us tonight to learn more about our planned return to campus in August 2021. Also, a very special welcome to our new families who will be joining us in August. What will continue throughout the next semester? Testing students weekly as a part of a multi-layered mitigation approach, which includes mask wearing, washing hands, limiting close contacts by remaining in circles, as Andy said, deep cleaning protocols, all of those layers that we can see that are imperfect, but together they form a very important strategy, will allow us to confidently bring all grades to campus every day for a period of the day continuing in August. Faculty are all trained and have experience in guiding students appropriately in COVID safety measures. And our pre-pandemic conditions will be gradually coming back once most of our community members are vaccinated. If we could move to the next slide, please. Thank you. So how can we collaborate to our community? Conduct the daily health check using the Avenues QT app, monitor for symptoms, bring your own water bottle, get tested as recommended by health professionals or in the testing windows that I'm going to talk about in the next slide. Complying with self-isolation or self-quarantine recommendations, tracking my contacts if I test positive. And this is important, refraining from organizing, hosting, or attending events, parties, or other big social gatherings off campus that may cause safety risks to me or to other members of the community. If you have questions or doubts about anything about testing, please don't forget to send an email to nursesp@avenues.org. And all the information that you need about COVID is in the COVID hub on Open. Thank you. So about testing, right? As you know, testing will continue to happen every week, and only students and colleagues with a valid negative COVID-19 test result will be allowed on campus the following week. This is important because everyone who gets to school has a negative test. So this is a very important safety measure, but remember, it's also imperfect. It only makes sense with the other layers of our mitigation strategy. This means that all students starting on Monday, August 16, will need to follow this testing timeline, submitting a test sample on August 12th, so dropping off a test sample at the school. So next slide, please. How to submit the test. You will receive, you probably have already a box like this with 4 tests. If you don't have it, that's fine. Just go to school and get one 24/7, and anytime just ask security for a box. In this box, you'll find instructions, a barcode, vial, and 2 plastic bags. So it's a very simple process. You just tag the label here and collect the 2 milliliters of saliva. It's not a lot of saliva. It's not invasive. It's comfortable. Most of you have done this already. You put the vial in this plastic bag. You put this plastic bag in the second one, and don't forget to seal it. One very important thing is you need to register the test following the instructions in the leaflet that you can find in the kit. There's also a reminder here, please don't forget to register, because if by any chance you forget to register, we don't have any information about that specific test. It's a very simple procedure. If you have questions or if you don't remember what you should do, just drop an email to nurse-sp@avenues.org, and one of our nurses will be happy to help you. Please, the next slide. Recommendation for international travelers. So contact the school nurse at nurse-sp@avenues.org to let us know that you're traveling abroad. The next step is you need to get the Brazilian government's requirement, which is a PCR test 3 days in advance, if I'm not mistaken, or if anything hasn't changed. And your child will need to stay home for 3 days, counting from the day he or she gets to São Paulo, and then get a test on the 4th day. If the test on the 4th day is negative, that's fine. They can come to school. If you have questions, talk to the nurses. The next slide, please. Thank you. Don't forget there's the COVID-19 hub on Open. As the test cycles progress, you can find very comprehensive information about the positivity rates at school, how many circles are closed. So there's a lot of information there. About the Mandela-X website, the new students were registered last week or the week before. Just because of a Mandela-X restriction, we had to use the mother's account, the mother's email. If you need to change that, that's fine. Just send an email to nurse-sp, nurse-sp@avenues.org, and we can change that for you. So that's all about testing and all the COVID protocol. Thank you very much. Now over to Anne.
Good evening, everyone. It's so great to have you all back. We have quite a lot of people here today, and I hope this number continues as we move through the semester for our different Ask the ADHs. Before we actually get into the sort of nitty-gritty about what's going to happen, I wanted us just to spend some time thinking about Avenues itself and giving you a moment to think about why are you here? So on the next slide, I put the reason why Avenues exists. So if you could go to the next slide, please. And I know that I've mentioned this very many times before, and I've also written about this, but I thought now would be a good moment for you to take some time and think about what this statement means to you as parents. And I know there are some 5th graders here as well. So what does it mean to you? And this is where we would love to read some comments on the chat. So we have the Q&A for the logistical questions, and let's use the chat for more deep thinking. So going back to the question, why do we exist? To develop future worldwide leaders uniquely equipped to understand and solve global scale problems. I would love to hear some thoughts from parents and children on the chat. Thank you. So as you think about this question, let's move on to the next slide. We also have important community values, the ones of welcome, safety, respect. Those of you that have been parents with us for a while have come to know these really well. And they are universally honored by students, by parents, by alumni, faculty, staff, across all Avenues campuses. I'd love you to spend some time also thinking about what these 3 words mean to you. And if you can share on the chat, that would be wonderful as well. So what do the words welcome, safety, respect mean to you? And we would love to hear some thoughts. The 5th grade students that are here, we would love to hear from you as well. Thank you to everyone who has shared. Let's move on to the next slide. And it has our new leadership team in the primary. So we actually have 3 new ADHs, and we have been meeting as a team over the last 2 weeks to plan our year ahead. We've been introducing Avenues to new faculty. They were here all last week. And today we welcomed all faculty back to campus. The teachers are working inside their classrooms in little teams, and they're getting ready to greet all their students. And our meetings actually have all been on Zoom because of our no mixing policy. So while a few teachers are meeting together in classrooms, when we meet as a group, it always has to be on Zoom. We summed up what we want to focus on this year into 2 important goals, and I'm going to share them with you. And we've also come up with some conditions of success to make sure that we do reach these goals, and I'll share them with you in a minute. But now I'd like each ADH to just say hi, and then you will be able to meet them very soon at our curriculum evenings that start on August 30. So Julie, do you want to start and just say hello?
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to those of you that are new to Avenue. My name is Julie Hutchinson. I am the Small World in Nursery Associate Division Head. I've been with Avenues since it opened 3 years ago, and I am delighted to take on this role this year. Thank you. Pass you over to Danny.
Hello, good evening, everyone. It's an honor to have you here for a new school year. I'm the ADH for pre-K and K, and we are happy to have you. And if you have any questions about adaptation, just reach out. Thank you.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be with you all tonight as well. I'm Renata Ziegert, and I started at Avenues as the part of the founding faculty. I can't wait to start seeing our students all day on campus next week, excited to learn. And I'll be the Associate Division Head for 1st and 2nd grade.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the new families who are joining us tonight. I'm Angela Hernandez, and I'm the Associate Division Head for grades 3rd and 4th. And I'll be here for anything you need. So please feel free to reach out if you need anything, if you have any questions or any concerns, especially the new families who are joining us now, we're here to help.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming. It's great to be with you here tonight. I am Daniela Kemeny, and I have recently joined the Associate Division Heads team. I'm going to be working with grade 5. So it's a pleasure to meet all of you and get to know some of the students who have been very active on the chat and on the Q&A box. I'm looking forward to this year and to meeting you all this year. Thank you.
Thank you. So moving on then, the next slide shares the 2 goals that we've worked on. So the first one is parents value the foundations of why Avenues exists and its mission, and choose Avenues as the place to partner with in the education of their children. And the second one, the student experience is unique to each individual learner, yet consistent and meaningful across grade levels and throughout primary. And we would also love to hear any thoughts that come to mind from parents and students when we read these 2 goals for our year together. So as you are thinking, and we'd love to read some thoughts on the chat, we as a team really do want to focus on some ways in which we can make sure that we're successful in reaching these goals. And we want to make sure that our meetings with you, parents, are more full of joy and celebration. So that's one thing that we're really going to work towards this semester and this year. We also want all parents to understand how their child is growing as a learner, and that parents and students can both share evidence about how they have grown and what areas they need to work on. And we also hope that all parents understand the importance of focusing on meaningful, long-lasting learning. We also want all students that facing new learning challenges by feeling confident, using the skills and understandings they have developed in the past and bringing them to the present. We want all grades to be able to implement the global math curriculum that we're starting this semester and improve math learning across the division. And all teachers and students, we hope they will understand and use assessments and data from student learning in meaningful ways to inform instruction and set goals. So those are the ways in which we hope to make sure that we have been successful in reaching these goals. And now moving on. One of the ways in which we do want to reach these goals is to make sure that we are improving our communication with you, and we work on this all the time. We wanted to share then the ways in which we are going to be communicating with you. So on Fridays, you are going to be receiving from the classroom teachers a snapshot of your child's class. This is no longer an email, but will be on Seesaw. And I'll explain why we're choosing Seesaw for this in a minute. You'll also receive the Primary Division Family Bulletin every Sunday. And even though it's more related to some of the events and information you need to know for the week, I just love writing the text for that bulletin, thinking about what happened in that week and finding some connection to share with you about something that relates to what we do at Avenues. The ADH monthly curriculum highlight is sent every last Wednesday of each month and is an email as well. And those are the ways in which we communicate in writing. But we also have virtual Ask the ADHs, which are similar to this one today, but they'll be on various different topics. As I just mentioned, we are starting our new global math curriculum, which is the same curriculum that will be on other campuses. And we'll be sharing that soon in a virtual Ask the ADH. ADHs will have informal coffee mornings with parents, and they'll have one each this semester. So look for when yours will be. And also I will be offering office hours every 2 weeks, and you'll be able to sign up for those at Primary SP. Okay, on to the next slide then. So why Seesaw? A lot of you got to know Seesaw through your child's use of Seesaw in the pandemic, and it became sort of the learning platform for your child. But in fact, Seesaw was already a part of what we were doing, and we started using it as a way to document learning so that you could accompany your own child's progress on Seesaw. And so there we'll be sending a way for you to understand this. We'll be sending more explanation, but there's a way in which you can access your child's different documentation that they are choosing to add to a folder, and you'll be able to see their growth over the year. As well as the documentation on Seesaw, we have our student-led conferences that happen twice a semester in the middle of the semester. And it's a way for you to talk to your child together with the teacher about their learning. This semester, from Small World all the way to 2nd grade, the children will be on campus and they'll log in and talk to you. You'll be on Zoom at home, and they'll be with their teacher on campus talking to you. And 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade will be at home and logging in to talk to their teachers from home. That is the way that we managed to figure it out for this semester. And also, every end of the semester, you receive video reports that also are a way of thinking about your child's progress, process, and also they're meant for your child as well to look at. So I've asked Barbara to come here very quickly. She's our tech integrator, to explain how Seesaw works.
Hello, everyone. Good evening and welcome to the New Families. So as you know, Seesaw is the app that we use at Avenues to create digital portfolios. With the Seesaw Class app, the older students use their iPads and the creative tools to independently take photos, make videos, record audio, and create digital drawings to demonstrate what they are doing at school. The younger students have the support of teachers to do it. Now, the Family app is a different app. It's the one that you see here on my screen. The connected family members can become partners in their child learning by accessing their journal, seeing the posts, and adding comments. You can use this opportunity to engage with your child in conversations about their projects, about schoolwork, while making connections to their life at home. The Seesaw Family app also gives family members a simple way to receive teachers' announcements, such as the Friday communication that Anne mentioned. Now that our students are back on campus, it is even more important that families are connected to Seesaw. It will be a window into your child's learning, which is truly something very, very precious. If you are not yet connected to Seesaw, you will receive an invite until Thursday. If you don't receive it, please send an email to tech-sp@avenues.org. You can see the email address on my screen. And lastly, I just want to say that Seesaw takes privacy and security very seriously. Student content is secure and is never shared with third parties. And with the Family app, you can only see the posts created by your child. If you have any other questions or concerns, please, you can send the email to tech-sp. The tech team is always available to help you navigate the Seesaw Class app and also the Family app.
Thanks, Barbara. So how will learning look like in the classroom? As we mentioned before, we'll be in self-contained classrooms, and there will be at least 2 adults in every class. So from Small World to 2nd grade, where there's a head teacher and an associate teacher, there will be an extra adult there as well, so that we can support during lunchtime, during recess, etc., even though the groups are self-contained. And for 3rd, 4th, and 5th, even though there is only one head teacher, there will always be another adult in the class. I think that the pandemic was really important for us because it helped us rethink some of the things that we used to do. And now that we've come back to campus, we want to continue the interdisciplinary work that we were able to do so well during the pandemic. So each interdisciplinary project from pre-K all the way to 5th grade will take 8 weeks, and students are going to be able to learn deeply about 2 disciplines within that project. And so those specialist teachers of those disciplines will be rotating from class to class over those 8 weeks. So that might be that your class starts 1 week, your child's class starts 1 week with the science teacher, and then moves to the music teacher, and then has a Portuguese teacher for another week, and then is with an intern for another week, and then they go around. But how will online still support this? Even though maybe the art teachers with one of the classes, they can still do an online mini lesson with all classes. And so that is how we are going to be able to blend online and being physically on campus. And in a way, we know that learning will be even more beneficial benefit a lot from this, because we are supporting relationships between teachers, having the specialist teachers closer to the students, but also we are making it the best use of time by giving one lesson to all classes. Another thing is there was a question about student support team. The student support, our English language support and Portuguese language support teachers will also be rotating every week with one class, which means that they'll be supporting students during their actual lessons. So maybe they might be in a project time and they'll have an English language support teacher there to support them. Whenever the English language support teachers need to give a more specific support that we call AIT, like articulate for children that are still learning English, or consolidate for those that are needing to work with reading skills, they will be doing that online. So students will step out of the class, put on their earphones, and meet with other students that might have similar needs at that time. And so this is all a way of blending our online and our in-person on campus. And we're really excited about seeing this happen. Moving on to the next slide. This is the schedule. It's back to what it used to be. So Small World starting at 8:30 and nursery and pre-K as well. Kindergarten 1st, 2nd and 5th starting at 8:15. Dismissal for Small World is earlier, but if you do want students to stay until later, please email Julie Hutchinson and she can explain how Minilab works for these students. And then nursery and pre-K and K 1st, 2nd, 5th, they have staggered dismissal because we know how difficult the lines are during dismissal. And on Wednesdays, we have early dismissal so that our teachers can do some professional learning sessions together. We do want you to remember that every time we start a semester, it is not so easy to work around the arrival and dismissal cues and lines. So we hope we can all adhere to the welcome, safety, and respect pillars, and just understand that it takes a while for us to adjust and for students to remember that they need to come down from the class, to get into the car in time, etc. And usually in about 3 weeks, we get back into our flow again. So we hope that will work well. And the next slide. Sibling arrival and dismissal. So if you have children in different grades, if, for example, your younger sibling arrives at 8:30 and the older one arrives at 8:15, both children can come at 8:15 and they go straight to class, and the teachers will be supporting their earlier arrivals. And also if your child is dismissed earlier than their sibling, they can stay in class and the children can go together at the later dismissal time. Okay, so this is only for siblings, but we will be supporting the arrival and dismissal at an earlier or later time. Moving on. Lunch, there was a question about lunch. So all students will have snack and lunch inside the classroom. For snack, there will be 2 options. So there's a more elaborate option and then a simple option for those that don't like to have a lot of things inside their bread, etc. And there will always be a fruit of the day and an apple or banana for those that don't like different types of fruit. And what we want, we're not going to ask parents to choose the snack. What we'll do is in the class, we'll start figuring out our students' preferences and then make sure that they're getting what they prefer in order to reduce waste and not have food that isn't going to be consumed coming out of the kitchen. For lunch, parents do choose the option for their child. And we do ask parents to really try and talk about your child, about the different options that they will be eating, because we also don't want students to be disappointed that they got the option that they didn't like because the parent chose it and didn't speak to them. And also we really want to make sure that we aren't wasting not only food, but the boxes that of course aren't the best and most sustainable way of providing the lunch. So please, please, please fill in the form. The form is probably going today for you to choose next week's lunch. And then every Sunday it goes for you to choose the lunch for the week ahead. Okay. Online support. So when will we go onto an online moment? So from small world to 5th grade, if a circle closes because there was a positive case inside the circle, the whole circle goes online, and we provide a schedule on the iPad for students to know when to access each moment of the day. The small world to pre-K students, their iPads will stay at home and they shouldn't be used, and they will only be accessed if the circle goes home. Then from small world to pre-K, if a child tests positive, and so can't come to school, but hasn't been in contact, so that their circle is in school and just the child isn't in school, or maybe the child is a primary contact of a positive case, so maybe their sibling tested positive, so they can't be in school, so they need to stay home, they may join the on-campus class from Zoom. So we won't have a separate teacher for these children anymore, since all our teachers will be now physically on campus, but we will provide Zoom links and a schedule, and your small children are very welcome to join in the morning meeting and other moments of the day, like read alouds, etc. But also, if you opt for them not to join, that's okay as well, because we understand how difficult it is for the very small children. From kindergarten to 5th, their iPads stay in school because we use them, as we were saying, for the documentation, etc. If a child tests positive and can't come to school, or is a primary contact of a positive case, needs to stay home, we will find a way for the iPad to go home, you can pick it up, etc. And then we will provide an online schedule, which will be a mix of joining the on-campus class from Zoom and then asynchronous assignments. And we will make sure that we get those assignments done, even though all the students are here, all the teachers are here on campus. But we will be providing this for anyone who can't be here in these specific moments. So not unfortunately, but we can't have parents deciding not to bring their children to campus because they're extending their weekend, etc., because we simply don't have enough faculty to do an extra school when all our teachers are here on campus. And moving on to the next slide. So we do have some upcoming important events. We have a webinar for new families on August 11. Okay, and this is where you can ask questions that most of our families already know, but I'm sure are inside your minds after today. We have a webinar that's specific for our Korean families on Thursday, and that will be have a Korean translator to support the Korean families. You do have a parent-teacher conversation either on Thursday, Friday, or Monday, and you need to schedule it, and I'll explain a bit more about that, because we noticed that lots of parents haven't scheduled it yet, so we'll explain that in a minute. Then we'll have curriculum evenings by grade on the week of August 30, and that's for you to really ask questions and find out about the curriculum itself and how it's going to work in this grade this year. In October, we'll have our virtual student-led conferences, as I mentioned before. Small World to Second will Zoom in from school. Third to Fifth will work from home online. And so how do you schedule your parent-teacher conversation? You go into Open, and then where it says Schedule Conversation, you click that button, and it takes you to a place for you to be able to choose the time available, the slots available. And then on the next slide, a very important thing about the parent-teacher conversation is that you need the Zoom link to be able to join the Zoom meeting with the teachers. And this is where you can go. You go back to that same place, go to where it says download schedule, and you can find the Zoom link for you to be able to join the meeting on the day, and also the time in case you forget the time, it's also there, okay? Next slide. And finally, these are some of our calendar dates. Most of them I've already mentioned, but just for you to have an idea of when the different curriculum evenings are going to take place. And I leave you with a quote for us to think about. And with that, I wanted to say that we're really excited for the year ahead. We want to partner with parents. We're open for feedback. Please do reach out at any time. If you have more logistical questions, we have a new admin assistant, Natalia, and she's at Primary SP. Please do reach out to the classroom teacher on the class email anytime you need to ask a question about learning. And also you have the ADH emails on Open if you have any other questions as well. We do have a few more minutes for Q&A. So please, if you have any other questions, do write them in the Q&A and we'll try and answer them. But I wanted to thank you again, and I hope to be able to wave to you all from the front of the school when you're dropping off your children next week.
And there's a couple of questions in the chat. If we wanted to address just the few of there before we sign off for the night.
Thanks, Annie. I think the biggest questions are about adaptation for small students. Mm-hmm. So new students until pre-K, they do have a special thing that we're meeting them outside school. For kindergarten, if you have a special need for an adaptation and you're new, you'll be able to talk to Dani Panucci about that. Just contact her directly and organize that. I must say that last year, we had a lot of new students, even little tiny Small World students, and they adapted very, very fast, even though their parents weren't allowed on campus. So we're really not worried at all about adaptation. But as with everything else, we will go on an individual needs basis for the new student adaptation as well. And I think the other question was, some of the other questions are related to adults on campus. And so we still won't be able to have parking on campus. It's just drop off. What else was there?
There's a couple of others, you know. I just responded to one in the chat about play dates. Yes, play dates within the circles. Unfortunately, we're not through this yet. And so again, same question about sports and so forth. The less mixing that you can do as possible is the way forward to get out of this. And so yes, play dates within the own circle, please. That would be really appreciated.
And all the questions about curriculum and assessment, those are all going to be addressed in the curriculum evening. We want children to come to school, everything going to settle down, give it 2 weeks, and then we will be addressing all these questions. And we need to address them by grade because they're so different. And that's why we're not going to be talking about curriculum in general here today. And I did answer before, but about the after school, it's still going to be online, and the letter goes out next week. They start on the 23rd for our local teachers, and they start on September 16th for those courses that are with Avenues New York. The circle is your class. So you should have received the class list, and that is the circle, okay? And yes, Small World also does the COVID test, but please do talk to Julie Hutchinson and she'll explain, because we do have a special thing for Small World if necessary. And the after school activities will all be online still.
There's a question about, the students' adaptability with masks. We haven't seen anything that would provide us with any concern about students wearing masks at all. Even our Small World students who were able to do it, and we do have mask breaks during the day. I think all of us know how uncomfortable it is to wear a mask for 6 hours a day, so we wouldn't ask our students to do that. But no, masks, the students have been adaptable and have got on with things with very little, if any, fuss that I could speak to. Yeah, as we said, lunch for K will be served in the classroom. Yes.
All grades, right? Until 12th grade will be in class.
Yep. Again, the idea of serving lunch in the classes is to avoid, if you could imagine, having all of our students go to the lunchroom. Of course, that would put quite a number of people in a situation where they'd be mixing and being close to others. So the more we can keep ourselves safe, the more likelihood it is that we'll continue to have a successful semester and not have anybody have to spend time at home. I think that's it, Anne. As Anne mentioned, other assessment and curriculum questions such as the ESA test will certainly delve into those topics during Ask the ADHs or during curriculum night. So please know that tonight is just to make sure that you're aware of the scenario that we're going to come back to campus with 100% every day. Yay, good news. And that we are looking forward to seeing everyone next week. I think that's it for tonight. So thank you all for joining us. And we are so looking forward to seeing everybody again pretty soon. And again, just as we started, a big warm welcome to our new families. We're looking forward to get to know you. Thanks, everybody. Thanks to all the ADHs and Anne and Paolo. Bye now. Take care.